Did they make
No,
contact?
I don't know. It's pretty close, but this is going to be a drag race.
Right
Look at
there,
this.
moves
Wow.
him to win it. Carl Edwards bump and dump and run.
Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again. The bump and run.
There it is.
And Maine to really turn around, Maine to Riley's cage up.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric at Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Ryan Blaney type of weekend. Actually, he had an up and down evening, kind of like Daytona Ron. He'll tell you about his weekend. But before we get into the show, make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow us. Do whatever you want to do. We're available every Monday night, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. And every Tuesday morning, video available on YouTube. Shout out to all the friends of the show. And honestly, shout out to anybody who stayed up and watched that All Star race. I feel like someone owes us all a refund. I don't know who, but I'm with you guys. Here's your refund for the evening. We're on the same page as you probably. Fellas, oh boy, it's going to be one of those nights, I feel like. How was your weekend, though? Eric, you had a rough one. You didn't go to work today, did you?
I did not make it to work today. The All-Star weekend, it got me. It got me first off Friday night. I said, you know what? It's All-Star weekend. It's going to be hot here in northeastern Pennsylvania where we record from. And,
Yeah.
I was going to take full advantage of cracking them cold ones early. And, man, that truck race was phenomenal. Started with that. Had a great night there. Then Saturday, took a little turn. Relaxed in a crick all day, lounging.
Yeah.
And,
It was, for anyone outside Pennsylvania, it was like 98 degrees. It wasn't 98, but it was like 92 on Saturday in May, which is outrageous. So I'm really jealous. I wish I was knee deep in a creek somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, the repercussions afterward, because, once you have a certain buzz on level, you kind of don't realize that the skeeters are biting you anymore. So Sunday morning, I woke up with a back full of mosquito bites that are now, a couple days later at full itchiness effect right now. But no, Sunday came around, had a party up my house. It was one of those parties where it just organically happens. I didn't call anybody. I didn't plan it at all. My phone was dead in my room literally all weekend.
Yeah.
But man, did that help out my All-Star race consumption. I'm glad they all showed up at my house and we were cooking, grilling, playing yard games, and the All-Star race was on, but the main event was just a party. So if I didn't have people over my house, I have a little different perspective, I think, of this race than you guys will.
Yeah.
Because there were certain aspects where the garage was getting into it. We're like, okay, this race may be turning around here. But overall, it was just a phenomenal weekend for me. Weather, it was not the racing weekend I would have liked, but just in life in general, thumbs up for me this weekend.
Yeah, I think so we have a Snap group with the three of us for just the NASCAR podcast, and then we're in a big Snap group with all of our friends, and then we have a little group chat for the podcast, the Bump and Run podcast. And I think the last time me and Matt heard from you was Saturday around 1:00, right?
Yeah.
Because I had a tree come down due to a storm, and you were polite enough to offer services in your chainsaw to come down and help and cut it up. So it was around 1:00. You were drinking a beer then. You're like, "White man, I'm ready to cut up some wood. We doing this or what?" My neighbor Jerry took care of it all himself. He's a badass. He did it all himself. He didn't want anyone to come down in case they got hurt on his property. He didn't want to be liable for it, which is completely understandable, I think. And then me and Matt didn't hear from you all day Sunday. Matt just kept texting, "Where is Eric?
Is Eric alive?
Is Eric alive?" And then finally, today at 2:54 p.m., you finally texted the group back. After we eulogized you in our group chat, I made a nice little obituary to put in the newspaper. I mentioned your family and the kiddies. But yeah,
It was beautiful,
Eric
Whitey. It was absolutely beautiful.
Eric is one of maybe one of one people I know in my life that if they don't respond to me in 48 hours, I get zero amount of panic because I know he's okay.
Yeah.
I know he's fine somewhere. His phone is off. He's off doing Eric
He's
things.
doing
He's
stuff.
gonna be okay. He's gonna surface eventually.
That's-
And when he does, it's gonna be hilarious. But I just don't worry when he goes missing. He's okay.
No, see what I did. I just went to all of our friends' Snap stories, and I saw the Shreys were up there. I saw the Mavericks were up there. I saw Jay was up there. So I'm like, oh, okay, he's alive. They're doing yard game things and enjoying the nice weather we had on the weekend. Although we got like a torrential downpour on Sunday afternoon during the race. But yeah, I just like you said, just one of those guys where you're like, oh, I haven't heard from him in a while. Maybe I'll take a ride up in another day if I don't hear from him. You know, if we didn't get a response before the podcast, I would have drove up to the house just to see and make sure you're alive. But I had faith in you.
Usually Dana gets the brunt of all of it because like everyone will start bombarding her phone because they know she'll respond.
I was close. I was close to him. Is he okay? Just tell me if he's okay.
I did that the one weekend 2019 Pocono summer race. You guys skipped it. I had a free ticket. Me and Jay were going down, and I kept calling you. You weren't answering. Finally, I called Dan. Like, yo, is Eric alive? I just want to know if he wants to go to the race today. And like, nah, I'm just gonna stay at home. I gotta save some money. So yeah, but glad you survived. Glad you were entertained with some good friends. Me and Matt watched it at our homes, and we had a different perspective. But Matt, overall, how was your weekend?
Much like Eric, on my personal side of things, we had a really, really good weekend. We went to go see the house. It's coming along. We are so very close. We're another 3 or 4 weeks away, and I'll be back living in the Valley, boys. I could not be more excited on a personal level. We went looking at some furniture and stuff, just getting ideas of what we're going to want to get as far as some of the stuff that we haven't gotten already. So on a personal side of things, very, very good. And on a NASCAR side of things, I've had better weekends.
Well, since you are becoming a homeowner for the first time, you know, you rent now, so you don't have to worry about yard work and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You probably want to save a little money. So I know in the long run, it'll cost you a little bit more, but in the short term, head on down to Harbor Freight and,
No.
You can get like a leaf blower, lawnmower, all the basics you need to take care of the property this summer, because you know as summer is approaching, you got to make sure that lawn's cut every day.
So we were actually, it's funny that you actually bring up yard work and stuff. When we went to go see the house, I was just kind of looking over the property and everything, and just like, you know, looking at like how much work like I'm truly gonna have once we're in, as far as like yard work and everything else goes. And Steph told me, because I'm, you know, going to be a dad here in the next couple months, Steph told me that for Father's Day, she's going to get me a weed whacker. And I could not be more excited about a gift in my entire life.
Oh yeah. That's how you know you're a real adult, when you get excited over like tools and stuff as gifts. Like I got a drill for Christmas. I fucking love my DeWalt drill. I use the DeWalt drill probably every week. I just find stuff to tighten and loosen, you know. But I had a decent weekend too. Did a little yard work. Actually, I watched my girlfriend do yard work. Unintentionally. So
unintentionally.
No,
when he had a beer in his hand with his feet kicked up.
I did have a beer. No, so she's redoing the flower beds in front of the house and everything. And I was watching the end of the Xfinity race. She's like, oh, you watch that while I do this, and then you can help after, you know? So I was watching on my phone. But we live right next to a church there. And this old guy was walking from the church, and he just started talking to me. I swear to God, I talked to this guy who lived a couple streets down for an hour and a half about everything. I mean, everything you could imagine. So you want to know what? I felt good because I'm like, you want to know what? I'm going to be this old man someday looking for someone to talk to. So I'll talk to him. We talked about politics. We talked about religion. He was trying to share his faith with me and everything. I just kind of like rolled with it, you know, and we talked about being good people. So I felt like a good person talking to this old man. But But
Meanwhile, Reddick's in the lead in the Xfinity race, and Whitey's about to knock this old guy out at the same time. Like my driver's about to win, guy. You better get on down the road. Go on, get.
Thankfully, he was walking by during the post race, so I went back and I watched all the interviews and stuff. But the whole entire time, my girlfriend's getting pissed because she's pulling out like this old bush and everything so she can plant flowers there. She's struggling, and like every now and then, the old guy would look and go, "Ah, you got yourself a good one."
Oh no.
And so she's like, I was gonna save you. I was gonna end the conversation, be like, oh, we gotta run here, but you wanna know what? I just let you go. So I deserved that one. But we had a good Saturday. Sunday, man, felt like a wasted night with that race.
It was a wasted night.
So you guys just wanna jump into it?
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know if there's a lot to say or not a lot to say. I mean, because you could go both ways with it.
Yeah, I don't even know. Let's just start with NASCAR news. We delayed the inevitable enough. Only have two pieces of news here. Last week, Denny Hamlin's Dover penalty appeal has been heard, and the penalty stands, including they harshened the penalty. So if you don't remember, Denny Hamlin lost a wheel on pit road at Dover. They decided to challenge the penalty. The penalty would have been a 4-race suspension for the crew chief and the tire changer, and then a fine. That 4 races would have included this weekend's All Star race. Because they appealed it, NASCAR decided, no, it's going to be 4 points-paying races. So now Denny's being punished just a little bit extra. And then speaking of Joe Gibbs Racing, I thought that was pretty interesting. Hired JTG Doherty's owner, Tad Geschechter's marketing agency to help sell sponsorship for Gibbs. So Toyota reaching over across the aisle to the Chevy camp to see if they could sell some sponsorship almost feels unheard of. I tell you what, those JTG Doherty cars always have full sponsors for the year, though, so not a bad person to reach out to. What do you guys think about this? Do you find it as odd and interesting as I do?
I find it, what's the word I'm looking for here? Alarming. If I'm a JGR fan, like how does JGR, arguably a top 2 or 3 team in NASCAR Cup, have problems getting sponsorship? Like how is that a thing? I understand that they probably got maybe they got complacent because they're so used to a Mars being there for them year after year after year, where they didn't really have to go searching as much as they have been. I mean, they've had Mars year after year, Bass Pro Shops, at FedEx. Yeah. So maybe they just got complacent and, wasn't having to expect to have to go to the well like this. And now that they have to go to the well, they just aren't having luck. I don't know, but I would find it alarming for sure.
I thought it was pretty alarming too, until honestly, 602 breaking news. Joe Gibbs gives update on Kyle Busch's contract, hoping for 2 years in Xfinity for Ty Gibbs. This is according to jski.com. Gibbs, quote, "We're really confident that we're going to have the number 18 car squared away sponsorship wise, and we're trying to work on our deal right now with Kyle," Gibbs said. So I think we're feeling good about it. And then they're looking at keeping Ty in Xfinity for another season. So breaking news right here on the Bump and Run podcast in the news segment. So I guess I don't know who they've gotten figured out with sponsorship, but maybe this partnership is already working out.
I bet you it's Rowdy Energy.
I don't. You want to know what? I don't know, because Rowdy Energy is kind of on the car already as like a small decal and stuff. I mean, it could be. I don't. Here's the thing, though. Like,
it would be Kyle Busch paying Kyle Busch at that point,
exactly.
Right?
And I don't know.
Well,
like,
that's where I think Joe Gibbs and the whole team is kind of scratching their heads, because, like you said, Matt, I think they haven't had to be in the game as far as getting and them having to look for sponsorship. I think, if anything, it won't be Rowdy Energy on there, because I think Joe Gibbs relied on his drivers bringing in the sponsorship, and now the drivers are like, hey, like, it's got to be on your guys' responsibility as well as mine. Like, we got to get these sponsorships together. So I think that's where Kyle was like, hey, Gibbs, get something together. Like, I'm not just going to put my money, my brand on your car for you. You go out and find me. I'm the one you should be fighting for here. So, like, maybe, too, Joe Gibbs being, don't want to bring up any kind of bad things, but, they are really religious. Maybe they want someone else to do the greasy deals behind the scenes and have his hands, washed of it all and say, here, you go out here. Maybe they don't have a team of people going out willing to make those greasy deals. So
are you guys thinking what I'm thinking? Hey, Joe Gibbs on the sponsorship side, you guys need to get together.
But for real though, like, I know Denny is a huge proponent, and he just actually made some waves today, Monday, May 23rd. He made some waves today on Twitter saying about like how, I guess the business model of NASCAR needs to change. He's kind of been at the forefront of that for a while now.
Yeah.
And Dale Jr. has actually made the announcement that he's having Denny on the Dale Jr. download this week to maybe even discuss some of that stuff. So I think, while we're on it, as far as talking about the business model and everything maybe needing to change a little bit, listening to that episode of the Dale Jr. download this week might really enlighten us as to what's going on.
Yeah, if you don't know, earlier today, Denny said he put pressure on Brian France, said the whole entire NASCAR business model needs to change before him and 2311 invest any more money in the sport. Now, he says that, but 2311's really struggling right now. They're kind of in the press a lot when it comes to the crew kind of fumbling the ball, so to speak, on pit road, and just the performance of the team. I know Kurt Busch just won last week, but, other than that, it's been a real up and down struggle. Is this way of Denny kind of maybe deflecting some of that buck on NASCAR, where he's like, no, we're pulling out, we're not spending more money
because it's been going on for too many years. I think he's one of many owners and drivers that just complain and have not complained, but voice their even opinion that, this sport, the way it's going right now, the drivers, it's not going to last. Like, it's been going on too long for Denny to kind of make this an excuse in my eyes. I think this is an opportunity for Denny actually to say, hey, let's bring this up again. Let's see, I'm doing what I can. I'm investing in you. What are you giving back to me? What are you offering me right now? And I think this is a big step too, because if we want other manufacturers to get into the sport as well, and we want other teams to maybe get formed, they're going to be looking at this whole Denny Hamlin situation with NASCAR and how the model is and where's the money going and what are they getting back. And it's a black eye for NASCAR, because if they're trying their hardest, PR wise, to get new manufacturers and new people into the sport as far as teams, this might be a little thing that's a roadblock that's going to get in that way. And little question marks are probably and light bulbs going off in these people's heads that are looking to get into this sport and being like, wait a minute, Denny Hamlin, one of the premier people, and ton of eyes on the sport are on Denny. If he's saying this, what are we doing trying to get into this sport? Maybe we need to look into this a little bit more. So this could shake things up for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for sponsors looking to get into the sport, and current sponsors who are already in the sport, is ROI, return on investment. How are we getting money back in our pockets after spending our own? I think one of the biggest things that's going to happen for the history of NASCAR going forward is what they do with this next TV deal.
Yeah.
Who do they get in bed with, and how are these sponsors that are on these cars going to get the most eyeballs on them? And I think NASCAR really has to take it seriously, and I think they will. I've hinted before towards the fact that I really think that they're going to go with ESPN. Not that I have any insider knowledge on that.
Yeah.
I'm just going off of putting pieces together with what some of the bigger wigs have said in interviews and stuff. And I think that would be a home run for sponsors, is to be on ESPN.
And
ABC.
you took this conversation in a direction I didn't think it was going to go. But I'm glad you did. I had a little piece of tin foil behind my ear. I thought it might have become a hat. But now that you bring it up, though, like Eric said, you do have a high profile team in Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin. Now they're speaking out about it. And it reminded me of the last episode of Door Bumper Clear. Haley Deegan was on, and they were kind of talking about the sponsorship model and everything. And, NASCAR is trying to reach new audiences, and we are trying to find younger demographics and new fans and get more people to the track and everything. And the TV ratings are slowly going up and steadily going up, which is great.
Yeah.
But then you look at track attendance, especially for like Trucks and Xfinity, and there's not a whole lot of people in the stands for those races. And Cup races have been pretty solidly packed. But when you're in trucks and you're going out and you're trying to sell a company on sponsoring your truck and you're not on TV a whole lot, they could easily go, well, there's nobody really here. So who's seeing our investment, and our return on investment is going to be really low, like Matt said. So I think that is...
I brought that up before, though, Whitey. Like you said, I brought up they need to promote the Trucks and Xfinity as much as they do the Cup, because they're three different
series.
They're three different identities. Like, I know Cup is like the major thing, like the NFL is to like college and whatnot, but it's still an awesome race. It's still different and unique from Cup. There's different drivers every week. You want to grow the sport, like they say in Xfinity, make a name here. Well, guess what? If you only have like one commercial on for Xfinity, never really promote it or have the same stuff on Saturday for Xfinity at the racetrack as you would to get the fans there. Make those vendors make it a 3-day weekend instead of just showing up for the Sunday crowd. Make that there the whole entire race weekend, because as NASCAR as a whole, they have to start advertising and promoting the Trucks and Xfinity a hell of a lot more, and their drivers. Because you're right, without the eyes on the TV or attendance at those smaller, Trucks and Xfinity races, which they could be better than Cup certain weeks, no one's going, no one's watching. So you're right, Whitey. The eyes aren't there. What are you going to sell?
Package deals where you have, Trucks and Xfinity on the same weekends at the same tracks as these Cup teams. Package those 3 races together for a ticket. Put them all into one. Or if you only want the Cup race, here's the price. If you want the Cup race and the Xfinity race, here's the price. If you want all 3, here's the price. Then do discounts and stuff. Work with the fans. The one thing that I can say, though, all of us know this to be true, is that it's not a price level as far as tickets go. That cannot be the excuse of fans not going to the racetrack, because it's relatively
It's by far the best in any sports.
Yeah.
For bang for your buck, it's the best hands
easily.
down.
Easily. So it's not a price thing as far as tickets go. That's not the problem. It's something else that they have to figure out.
No, and a lot of tracks are super family friendly, where like kids tickets will be $10 or even free if you buy an adult ticket.
Family friendly unless you're sitting around us.
Yeah. No, I feel like we're pretty tame. But to circle back to the TV deal that you brought up, I think a large part of the problem is these tracks aren't incentivized to bring as many people to the track as they used to be, because they get a huge cut of their profit from the TV deal. Like, they get a lot of TV money where it kind of doesn't matter if the stands are full or not. They're still making enough money to operate and turn a profit and stuff. And I feel like that hinders it, because then, like Eric said, you don't put the promotion into Xfinity and promotion into the trucks and try to draw people in for those races. You're not doing package deals where you're trying to make a full weekend experience. And something that used to happen in the 90s too, Xfinity and trucks used to run almost a completely different schedule than the Cup Series. So on one weekend, you might have, Cup in Chicago or Michigan, somewhere up there, and then you might have the Xfinity and trucks running at a short track in North Carolina. So you could draw in 2 different markets, audiences to the track, and throughout the years, you see more and more just paired dates where, it's trucks and Xfinity and Cup, or it's trucks and Cup, or it's Xfinity and Cup. And maybe that's kind of shot them in the foot too, where a lot of people are like, well, why am I going to go to the Xfinity race when I got the Cup race tomorrow? I could see the real guys. Whereas like if where it was in the old days, like, oh, the Busch Series is at Nazareth.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly. Like
and Cups in Texas.
They had it separated.
Yeah,
they had it separated. In your head, you're like, this is the Winston Cup. This is the Busch.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. This is Camper. It's like in your head, it's a completely different series. So like, I think like, okay, the All Star weekend. You see commercials for the All Star race, All Star race, All Star race. How
they
about
didn't
at the
even
end
mention
of that
it.
Cup? Right. How about at the end of that Cup commercial, you throw in Xfinity and Truck and show a little bit of highlights of them as well. Don't just do a Cup commercial.
And don't forget, those are points-paying races, so check them out. Come and watch them, you know?
I didn't even know. I had to ask you. I think I text you, like, hey, like, is this just, like, Cup this weekend? Because, like, I heard nothing and saw nothing about Xfinity or Trucks until, like, that Friday night. It was, like, it blew my mind, actually.
You have to almost check the schedule to see if the Trucks and Xfinity are racing this upcoming weekend. Yeah, it's sad. They need to do a better job marketing the two series that feeds into our Cup Series. They just need to. And I've got an idea, I guess, if you will, for our pickle lane later. So we can move on now.
Back.
We'll swing back to this conversation.
Okay, that'll be fun. Write it down, and then you can give me and Eric a pickle lane, and we could argue it out for once instead of the other way around. I think that'll be interesting. I don't have a NASCAR history for today. Honestly, I just didn't have it in me to even do any research. I was really sour on NASCAR today, to be honest with you.
Yesterday in NASCAR history, May 22nd, 2022, NASCAR ran the worst race of all time. There's your NASCAR history.
I tell you what was a great race, though, and Daytona Ron watched it, so he could give us a little breakdown. The truck race, Stewart Friesen locked himself into the truck playoffs. You said it was the best race of the weekend. What did you guys think? I didn't get a chance to check it out.
The Trucks was just a lot more side-by-side racing. They weren't so spread out. It allowed for battles. It allowed for slide jobs. It allowed for people to get to someone's bumper and try to make a move. And it did get me excited for what was going to come for the weekend. And, you know, the hopes, will this next-gen car say Texas? I mean, I know the trucks are the trucks, but, you know, you just never know. Just the vibes. It's just like, okay, this first race went well. This could be a turnaround weekend.
It starts building that hope that we all had for Sunday.
So the battles were there. It was exciting for me because I've kind of become a Stewart Friesen fan over the last couple years because his wife also races the dirt sometimes in the truck when they want to do it together. So myself and my girlfriend were kind of like, okay, we're going to be like a Friesen family, you know, fans. So like she roots for, you know, for her. And like, so it was nice to see, you know, someone that I start following get a win. And he's a good dude, comes from the dirt world. And, you know, he deserves that win and to get locked into the playoff. So it was just overall I just thought great racing. And the trucks, man, if you don't, like we're talking, you don't watch the Trucks or Xfinity and you're kind of like, oh, I'm going to wait for the Cup. You are not doing yourself any favors because the trucks from week in and week out, not just this weekend, sometimes it is the best race of the weekend, and they put on a show.
For sure, yeah. Stewart Friesen actually races a lot. He's from upstate New York. He races a lot of dirt tracks that isn't too far away from us, so we'll have to keep an eye on that to see if he ever comes around our area. I would love to go see him at one of the local short tracks. But yeah, it was easily the best race of the weekend. Just a lot of side-by-side action, like Eric said, and it was cool to see Stewart Friesen get his first win of the season and lock himself into the playoffs down there.
Well, you guys think it was the best race of the weekend. I personally think that Saturday was the best race of the weekend because, one, Tyler Reddick brought home the win, the first win for Big Machine Racing. Like Matt said, he caught the end of it. I caught the end of it too. I saw that final restart before the wreck, and then when Reddick took the lead, and then I saw the end. But I was listening here and there. We were bouncing around doing, you know, the yard thing and everything. But before that, we had to go to Edwards, get some, it's a flower place around here. We had to get some flowers and some various things. So we were all around town. I was listening to the Motor Racing Network. Reddick was right in the top 5 all day long with William Byron. That was a fun battle to watch and everything. Matt, I was dying laughing because you text us, you're like, man, Josh Berry's running great. And then all of a sudden he got in an accident. He still finished in the top 10. He salvaged the day.
So for the listeners, like I said, we were out looking at, I had met my wife, back at our house and everything. We were looking at, we went shopping after that for furniture. And so we had two different vehicles. So as we were driving back down to our apartment, which is about 40 miles away, or 40 minutes away rather, I had started listening to the race, and I got a Snapchat going with these guys. Yeah. And I just said, yo, boys, I'm back in the car. I'm listening to the race. Yeah. I jumped in just on time because Josh Berry is out front. And like literally 1 minute later was the restart where Josh Berry wrecked everyone. Yeah. And he was out of the race, and I had to go back on the Snapchat and retract my statement of excitement.
He still gathered a good day, got himself a top 10. So he salvaged the day. I thought it was a really exciting ending. I wish I watched the entire race, but again, Saturday afternoons, man, it's tough. You know, Eric's in the creek cooling off. Matt's doing the runaround thing with the wife. I'm doing the runaround thing with the girlfriend. But definitely glad I got to see my guy win a race for the first time in a couple of years now. Little confidence builder for the team and him, and then just a shit day the next day that we'll get into. You want to talk about the Cup weekend and the All Star race? Ryan Blaney led once for 84 laps. Your highlights: 2 hours, 2 minutes, 47 seconds. Felt like it was 6. 8 cautions for 31 laps. 3 lead changes among 4 different drivers. And I read that. I was like, how's that even possible? Kyle Busch led off the pole for 47 laps. Austin Cindric 2 laps. William Byron 7. And Ryan Blaney led the last 84 laps to the end. Your top 5, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, Daniel Suarez. I don't even know where to start. Do we start at qualifying? Do we jump right into the race grades? What are you guys feeling on tackling this one?
I just feel like, because I'll say this, in my race grade, I gave it the whole entire weekend. It just lumped into my, I just did this weekend in general. What did I grade that? Because it is a spectacle. It is the All-Star race. There are multiple components to it, not just like a normal race. So I just lumped it all together as a whole. And all right, if you want me to go, I gave it an F, hands down. I mean, I think everyone kind of agreed on it, that it just didn't work out. I'm not here to shit on NASCAR either, because they are willing to change things up and try new things. So
I'm going to stop you right there. To preface this, the rest of this episode and all the shit we talk, anyone that listens to this show regularly knows we're pretty positive when it comes to NASCAR changes. We look at everything with an open mind. From the number placement to the next gen car and all that stuff, we like to just think positive and look to it. And we had high hopes going into this All-Star race. You know, we saw the next gen car run really good at 1.5 miles, and we thought Texas, it puts on some bad racing, but maybe this car could save it. And
if you're new to the proceedings, we are not a negative. We don't bash. Just to bash, like some people do. We really don't. We love the sport. We think that everything that NASCAR has done over the past few years, as far as schedule changes, new car, things like that, has been fantastic. We are pro all of that. But with that being said, we are also realistic.
Let's tear this weekend apart.
What we're about to get is our realistic reactions.
Yeah, Eric, sorry to cut you off there. I just wanted to make it clear, we're not just hating to hate.
No, that was a great point because we don't this is our favorite sport. We don't do a podcast every week because it's just something we want to do. No, we love this sport. It's something we want around and we want it to grow. But what we saw this weekend, it was a miss. They swung and they missed. They struck out big time this weekend, and they're trying. They tried, and there was a few things that I would have done differently, and they might learn from. So to start with the qualifying, it all looked great on paper. I think we could all agree on that.
Yeah,
I was
no.
excited for it. I was amped up. I thought this could be really, really cool. I was telling people about it. My father at work, I was going over and letting him know, oh, this is going to go on. Oh, it's going to be crazy, a bracket. But they just missed it by a little bit. I think with that qualifying, in my eyes, it was opposite. I think they should have had the green light go, drag race, lap, pit, lap.
Yeah.
And that would have been a more interesting battle. There was no battle. Whoever dropped that first, it was gone and done. They shouldn't have even ran it. That was like, by like the second, third round of that, you're like, you knew what it was going to be. And it's like, why did they even continue it? You know, like
just a major letdown, you know?
Yeah, just a major letdown with that. And it's like, so like right there in my head is where my positive brain started to trip over itself. And I started to fumble downhill a little bit. And I'm like, oh no, like this is not good. This is a disaster. This isn't fun at all.
Yeah.
And the Open, it was a dud. And my driver was in it. Whitey, your driver's in it. I'm rooting for them. I'm like, we're going to mop this field up. Like we're light years better than half these guys. And it didn't happen.
Nothing.
I'm like, what is going on? The cars, like whoever had clean air out front stayed there. It was just like whoever was in the front row on the restart was going to win that stage. And if you were even in fourth or fifth back, you were fucked.
No
and
chance.
Like, yeah, no chance. So it was like, okay, here it is. And, you know, the race itself, same thing as the Open. It kind of like the front got away from everyone and it just got strung out. There was no good battles side by side, no lane. I don't know if the temperature is what we all talked about in my garage. Like, man, like Vad pointed out, he goes, it's only 65 degrees there right now. And
that is,
you know,
cold.
just like Martinsville, did the rubber not get laid down from this Goodyear tire that they're using? And did that affect it? So like, I don't know.
They had the traction compound down though too.
Yeah. And like guys are really tiptoeing getting into that traction compound too. I don't think the traction compounds helped at all. And that's different from PJ1 that we've been using too. Like this resin has been really good in the tracks that they've used it in the past.
The resin needs heat.
It does. Yeah, no, it doesn't need as much heat as the PJ1 did though. That's what it's like sticky right off the bat. It doesn't really need to activate though, which makes it a little bit better than the old stuff. But you're right. I didn't even think about the temperature and it being 60 degrees. Especially,
but I gave it an F. It was like, you know, it didn't hit, you know, when you're going to have those weekends. You know, I know we've said it before. If you're a new listener, we say it every once in a while when there's a dud race.
Yeah.
You can't in any sport have a lights out, you know, crazy finish or amazing game. In any sport, you're not going to get it every single time. So this was just one of them where they swung and they missed on it.
The unfortunate thing though is it's the All Star race, which is usually like a fun race to get people just to check out who might not be into NASCAR. Like you say, you throw a party, have people over. It also used to be on a Saturday. I don't know if Matt's going to bring that up.
I'm going to bring it up.
Okay. So do you want to jump into your grade right now?
Yeah. So I also gave it an F. My first ever F since we started this podcast. I've dished out a couple D's, but this for me is the new gauge of worst. And it's just a body of work. And, you know, sometimes when people get aggravated or upset about something, they look for someone to blame or something to blame. And I don't need that. You know, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. Like Eric said, NASCAR swung, which is awesome. Keep swinging because they've been hitting home runs.
Yeah.
They just happen to strike out on this one. It's okay that happened. It still doesn't lessen for me the idea of I just couldn't help but think like, man, I'm wasting my time here.
Yeah.
And for me, I've never been a huge fan of the All Star race. Last year with the whole gimmick and everything that they did really saved it for me. I don't know why they got away from that. I remember coming on here last year. Go back and listen to that episode. After the All Star race,
I think we gave it all A's.
We were so excited about talking about it because it was such a phenomenal race. I don't know why they got away from that. It being on a Sunday night instead of a Saturday. The All Star race was always on a Saturday. I don't know why they moved it to a Sunday night. Started it at 8:15 on the East Coast. and then it ended. I don't even know what time it ended.
Around 11.
You guys already know this. This is the first time I've ever done this in my NASCAR fandom lifetime. I've been a fan since I was a child.
Yeah.
I shut the race off. I actually shut the race off yesterday. I've never done that before. I just couldn't help but feel like I was wasting my time. The All-Star race doesn't do it for me because, like, their big shtick is go see your guy go win $1 million. What the hell do I care if my the guy that I'm a fan of wins $1 million on top of the millions of dollars he's already earning?
Yeah.
I don't care about his finances. Why is that the big shtick? The other thing too is it's not even the biggest payout of the season for these guys. The Daytona 500
is, yeah.
So, like, what are we doing? It just seems like a giant waste of time. So after Ross Chastain literally ran over Kyle Busch and took out Chase Elliott, I was done with it. It wasn't because Chase was involved in it. Chase is my guy for anyone who might be listening for the first time. That's not why I shut it off. I shut it off because, like, all year leading up to this, we're at the halfway point of the regular season. All we've been hearing is we've got to be careful with the cars. We're not bringing backup cars. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
But here we are in an exhibition race, literally a pointless race. We are not handing out points, and we're destroying cars.
Yeah.
What are we doing? I shut it off. So, yeah, I gave it an F. I'm upset. Like I said, I can't wait to move on. I hope we never do another All-Star race again. I know we're going to, but there are ways to fix it. I'm not somebody who tries to bash on something without coming up with ideas on how to fix the situation, and I know we'll do that a little later on in the episode.
Yeah, I'm right on the same page with you guys. Gave it an F, and like last year I looked it up. I gave it an A because, and I quote, just a fun race. Lots of intense battles. The open was super exciting. I enjoyed it all. Last night, we got none of that. No battles, no fun, no excitement. Just a follow the leader race with a bad caution call at the end. I just thank God Ryan Blaney won, because if he didn't, I couldn't imagine the shitstorm that would be brewing today. And we already have a shitstorm over the finish anyways. So, like, it was just a lose-lose. I couldn't imagine how worse it could be, but it probably could be. And like you said, it was just whoever got out in the front just ran away with it. In the open, whoever started on that inside line, you just fucking run away and you got yourself in. Whoever started the race first, Kyle Busch on the pole, led 47 laps. If his tire didn't go down, I wouldn't be surprised if he led every single lap.
Yep.
As long as he had a good pit stop. Ryan Blaney got out first on a restart and led 84 laps. You know, just like, man, it was an embarrassment because, like I said, you know, this is a race where it's easy to get someone into because it's a short race. It's a spectacle. You have all sorts of stuff going on. We had the open at 5:30.
Right. Here we go. That's another thing I forgot to mention.
It ended a little after 6. Wasn't a long race at all. And then we had to wait until like 8:15 for the green flag to fly on the main event. Like 2 hours just sitting around. Like, you turned it off after that accident. I was close to turning it off during the pre-race show because I was just sick of waiting for something to happen, you know? Yep. It didn't help. I admit my guy was taken out during the open, so I was a little sour about that. But at least if we moved on and had the momentum between the open, you jump right into the Cup race, even if you just 45 minutes, a half hour. But an hour and a half. They did driver introductions. I don't even know how long it took, but it felt like it was 40 minutes. And then they're doing the pace laps and they're introducing them all over again. Like, I don't need this. I don't need this. Like, it was just.
Keep in mind, like Whitey said before, like, we're three guys who absolutely love the sport. We don't do a lot of critical bashing like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So it really goes to show how bad this was.
And
it was a swing and it was a big time miss.
And that's all I could think about was the people at Eric's house who might not be huge fans, like Colin, who's just getting into it, our buddy Colin. And, you know, like, that could turn him off where he's like, oh, this kind of sucks. I'm over this shit.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't see what's so great about this. And again, not every race has to be a knockout, drag out, unbelievable race because that's just not realistic. We're
But
not
it's
asking
the all
for that. We're just asking for when it's billed as this all-star race, when it's billed as a spectacular type of event, let's have some entertaining racing at least. And we just didn't get that at all. It was sad. And a little bit has to do with where the race is held too.
Absolutely.
I know Texas Motor Speedway got absolutely murdered on social media today
ripped
by
apart.
Just about everybody, including media members.
Every media member. I feel like every media member didn't have a nice thing to say about Texas. The only person I heard talking about Texas positively was Marcus Smith. Where he's like,
he has to because he owns the track.
Yeah, he's like, the people in the stands had a great time. And maybe they did because, like we always say, at track is always better. Even a bad race at track is more entertaining.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's like, oh, we sold more tickets than last time. Like, then what? Last year when there was COVID and no one was going? Like, come on. Come on. Get out of there. Get out of there. It's horseshit. And I don't want to go back for 500 miles in the playoffs.
Hey, Marcus Smith,
you
better
need to get it together. We need to get it together with that. But no, I mean, just
we do.
We need to get it together.
But you want to know what? We're on week 2. Marcus Smith has had Texas for how many fucking years? When did they repave it? 2017. Get it together.
Oh my God. It was brutal. It was brutal.
They need to grate the track or something. Get something for Tyler. Something.
You know what sucks too is the Dallas-Fort Worth area is now I've never been, admittedly I've never been there, but from everything I've heard from everyone whoever has been there is it's such a great market.
A booming metropolis.
Especially a huge NASCAR market. And it's one of the great southern cities, Dallas, Texas. And their track sucks and it produces sucky racing. And there's no nice way to say it. It is what it is. And people, I'm sure, are probably saying, well, that's real rich coming from 3 guys that call Pocono Raceway their home track. But Pocono Raceway, and I know, Whitey, you just sat up when I said that. Go ahead, because we're all with you on what you're about to say.
For the first time ever on social media, I saw people praising Pocono Raceway where they're like, I would rather go to Pocono 5 times a year than ever go back to Texas Motor Speedway again. And you want to know what? I hate when people bash on Pocono, but that should tell you when the Pocono haters are coming out for support because Texas is that bad, you know it's bad because people love to shit on Pocono for no reason.
Yeah, we have great racing here.
Like Marcus Smith trying to save face with the positivity of saying that and that spin that he's trying to put on it. He could do that all he wants, but I don't see you coming back from this. Because here's why. There was already, before this race even started, there was talk on the socials and Twitter and everyone, will this next gen car save Texas? People were already shitting on Texas even before this race even happened. So there was already the talk, will it save it? It saved, a bunch of other of the 1.5 miles. So in my eyes,
Kansas,
it saved other tracks. It saved Pocono, but it didn't do anything. It made Texas worse than it already was.
Yeah.
So, I don't think there's coming back from this, Texas. I'm sorry, Marcus Smith, but I don't think you could spin this any other way to get these fans of your sport into Texas Motor Speedway, no matter what you do there. Unless it's just a complete redo, there's no coming back from this. There's not.
Two of our, I don't know if you want to call them crown jewels, but 2 of our main events of the year, the All Star race and the championship, are held at 2 tracks that put on awful racing.
Yeah.
And the decision makers in NASCAR need to look at that, need to hear the fans, and please just put these races elsewhere.
They have to be held accountable.
Yeah, you're right.
For doing that, those decisions.
Yeah.
Right. And Chase Elliott said it this weekend too, and he's not the only one, so I don't want to attribute this just to him, this idea just to him. But the All-Star race, if we're going to continue with it, needs to be able to move around. Give each market the opportunity to say, hey, guess what? The All-Star race is coming to us this year.
Yeah.
We're going to go out and we're going to see it, and it's going to be a great old time. And there's different ways to market the All-Star race, and they need to start looking at ways to do it, or just chop it off altogether.
I had to laugh during the broadcast. Mike Joy was talking about just the creation of Eddie Gossage and the track they built, but with like the giant grandstands and the condos in the corner and everything. And like, yeah, he built a beautiful facility, and then he ruined the track in 2017 when they repaved it and adjusted the banking in turn 1 and 2. The only way I could see them fixing Texas is grinding the pavement to create tire wear and hopefully open up some grooves, or destroying turn 1 and 2 and building them back up to 24 degrees banking instead of 20 degrees banking. We have a giant track with the tiniest groove. Like it's like a short track groove going into 1 and 2. It's just,
well, they said like all weekend you heard it in all 3 series, whoever got out of 2 first was going to get back to the line first, because 3 and 4 were wide open. You can't have you shouldn't have a turn on a 1.5 mile track, a whole corner wide open like that.
No.
There needs to be some off throttle time, or you're going to get duds like we saw yesterday.
And that's what this car has done. It's created that off throttle time. And that's why we're seeing such great racing at tracks that the last car and package didn't work out well. I don't know. Do you guys want to move on to checkers and hopefully talk about something positive?
Oh, yeah. I got something positive.
All right, let's start with you.
All right, my checkers will get a little bit more positive here, especially on my note. If there's anything going to be positive that I'm taking out of this weekend, and, I know I counted him out. I didn't expect it at all, but my boy Eric Jones got the fan vote.
Yeah.
And he made the All-Star race. The open was shit. His car was trash, couldn't go anywhere. I was hoping to see him and Reddick battle it out for at least one of those stages, so that, good content for the show. I figured it was going to happen all night, because the open of the All-Star race is usually my favorite thing about it, is because those guys, they try their hardest and they beat and they bang, and that's where the excitement comes in, and then it leads into the actual race. So like the open gets you going for the actual main event, and that didn't happen. But my checkers goes, I didn't think, and I know it's probably more Richard Petty fans than Eric Jones fans getting that 43 car into there, but he's been picking up. I think I've been seeing some new and some more people liking and commenting that, bringing that 43 car back, he's doing better. Like, and, I was shocked that he won the fan vote to get in there. So a little bit of positivity, my guy was in the show, didn't do much, wrecked out actually, but it was nice to see him get the fan vote. It felt good.
No, I was pumped for you for the fan vote. And like you said, probably a lot of Richard Petty fans, but I feel like Petty fans have faith in Eric Jones to help bring them back to prominence.
So he's actually reviving the Petty fans through him running better. So like, hey, if he could keep that going and, get some finishes and, get a little bit of that black cloud that's hovering over, him and some of these other guys, Suarez is another one where I was rooting for him.
Yeah.
And he kind of has a black cloud like EJ does over him, where he runs well, runs top 10, top 5, and then, something happens. But I think he's turning those Petty fans around and giving them confidence too.
All right. How about your wreckers?
So my wreckers, Matt and I were talking a little bit about this, where the cautions are taking way too long. Specifically during the All-Star race, I just felt like this is a simple car wreck. Get it figured out, get the car off the racetrack, and let's get this thing back rolling here.
Yeah.
And not just the All-Star race, but just for the season. I've noticed that and they didn't do anything, and I think it has to do with the tow truck and how they pull the car off and hook that up. It's not the same as it was, and it just seems to drag some of this race on longer than it needs to. And when you have a race like we had where it's already dragging, Matt's checked out, he's already watching the infomercials, and you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want it to go any longer. And it seems like these cautions are just dragging on these races. Like, they just have to do something about that, work on that, tweak on that. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or noticed it during the All-Star race, but simple cautions are just taking too long. I don't know if it's race control, trying to sort out the field, or just clean up, or all of it. But I just think the cautions this year have just been too long to get sorted out and figured out.
So I did some quick math thanks to the highlights. We had 8 cautions for 31 laps. That averages 3.8 laps a caution. So about 4 laps at 50 miles per hour around a 1.5 mile track. It's a good chunk of 5 minutes, and when you have a lot of cautions, like 8 of them, that adds up. That's a lot of time added to the broadcast. So makes sense. How about you, Matt? What's your checkers and wreckers?
So my checkers goes to actually just the safety of these cars, and just how far we've come along with the safety in general, with just the safety barriers all around every wall on every track, to the roof flaps, keeping these cars from flipping and everything. We saw a couple instances this weekend. I saw, God, I forget who it was, it might have even been in the Xfinity race, hit the wall on the front stretch straight on. Was it JJ Yaley? I forget who it was. Someone hit the wall straight on, and you can actually see the wall flex in and out. And we saw the same exact wreck take out the sport's biggest star 22 years ago or 21 years ago. And since then, we haven't seen, fortunately, we haven't seen a death on the track. And it's because of the safety. You look at the Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch incident in the All Star race last night, where Ross Chastain hit him at literally full speed while Kyle Busch was almost stopped. He was still moving, but he was maybe going, 70, 80 miles an hour, while Ross Chastain was going 170 miles an hour. And he launched off that car, and for a split second, I stopped breathing because I was like, I don't know what I'm about to witness right now. There's cars flying around him. He's midair. What is about to happen right now? And the car, instead of flipping, it landed on all 4 wheels, and obviously it hit Chase and then hit the wall, and those were 2 hard hits. But the fact that all 3 of those guys walked away with not even a scratch on them just goes to show how far safety has come in our sports. It's really good to see.
Yeah, that was definitely a scary hit. Even my girlfriend was real concerned. She's like, I don't like seeing stuff like that. Like, I know it's part of the race and stuff. And I told her too. I go, real fans like us, we don't like seeing that either.
Yep. That took the words right out of my mouth. As real fans, we do not want to see that. You get that pit in your stomach for that set of ooh, because we've seen a lot of wrecks in this sport, and certain ones okay, that was a wreck, they're gonna be fine, and other ones your butthole puckers up a little bit, and you're like, are they gonna fall out of that car? Window net down. Put the window net down.
I saw 2 wrecks in my life, and you guys were actually there for it. At least I know Eric was at Pocono, and it was almost the same exact wreck.
Terrifying.
With Jimmy Johnson and Bubba Wallace losing their brakes going into turn 1 at Pocono at the end of the longest front stretch in NASCAR and smashing into the wall. And I remember the feeling that I had live in person there, especially when Bubba hit the wall, was I just witnessed someone die right in front of me, and it was a terrible feeling.
It's a weird feeling.
Go back and find that wreck on YouTube. It takes a few seconds after Bubba Wallace's car comes to a stop for him to pull that window net down and let everyone know he was okay. And for those couple seconds, when you're there in person, it feels like forever. And I just hated seeing it, and I hate seeing wrecks like we saw last night. Albeit now that everyone's okay, we know everyone's safe, you can look back and say holy shit, that was crazy. That was fun to watch. But in the moment, you don't like seeing that stuff.
Yeah, as soon as Ross Chastain got airborne, I'm like, this is bad because you're doing 180 and then all of a sudden you're airborne. You're still doing 180, but now your brakes aren't doing anything.
A projectile missile at that point.
Yeah, and that was a hard hit. If anything, I had to laugh though. It was so funny after when Chase Elliott's like, yeah, I didn't give him enough room, like kind of taking the blame, like, buddy, like, he was flying right towards you. Like, there's nothing you could have done.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing you could have did.
Yeah, you just wrong place, wrong time.
And you know what? It's probably lucky for us that he hit Chase to kind of slow some of that momentum down before it hit the wall in the safer barrier too.
Yeah.
It could have been way worse, So, yeah, definitely a wild one. What was your records?
My records is actually the same as yours. You sent over the notes, and it's the same as yours. So we can kind of tag team this one, if you will. So our records is, unless you changed it, is qualifying with the pit stops. Is that what yours was?
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it earlier when Eric brought it up. Like, looked good on paper, sounded good, sounded entertaining. Execution just not there.
Yep. So yeah, my records rather isn't like, oh, NASCAR, why didn't that go right? Like, listen, I will not murder NASCAR for it. Like I said earlier, awesome idea on paper, but the execution just wasn't there. And I think it's my records because, like, I was looking forward to that part of the weekend the most.
I was really excited for it.
Part of the weekend, and it just kind of fell flat on his face. And yeah, I wish the execution was there because it was a really, really cool idea that just stunk.
Yeah, Chase agrees.
My dog Chase agrees with me.
Yeah, he's like, I was looking for. He's a huge NHRA drag fan. So he's like, oh, this is right up my alley. No, I think what happened too, kind of like what Eric said. We kind of looked at, like, we thought about drag race, but it was only 15 feet. You fire it off, and then you stop in the pit box.
The full length of pit road, like go down pit road and then make a stop. And like even the crew guy said, yeah, we have our timing down based off of them coming down
flying
pit
down.
road.
Yeah,
like, that's where their timing is. They're going. It was weird to like do it in close quarters like that. You know what I mean? And I would have liked to see them go a little bit farther as well.
Even when those guys practice during the week, I don't know if you ever saw the pit crew practices during the week. They have a practice car. Yeah. It comes around a corner and the shop comes ripping into a box like it would, slides in it, and we just didn't see that. And we hate to complain without giving kind of an alternative, but like Eric said, I think I would have liked to see them start at the start-stop line on the track, go from a dig around the track, come flying, ripping into pit road, do your stop at the end, and then the first one off of pit road wins. Like, make the whole entire thing. Yeah. I think they just did it backwards. They
needed to flip it around, and I think it would have worked out perfectly, honestly.
Because I think when you're going at a dig starting, like, then you kind of battle into 1 and 2, you battle in 3 and 4, but I mean, who knows? It's all things you got to think about next year. If we do go back to Texas, hopefully they're listening to the fans and all the criticism. And just to end on a positive note, my checkers, I thought at least the Open was kind of entertaining. Watching Reddick cut through the field, he started last because they changed his steering box, and then he cut through the field in the first stage. It was pretty entertaining to see. Kind of the only passing we really saw all day long. I feel like that's
Suarez too. Him and Suarez came from the rear as well and had a great car.
And you want Justin Haley. Justin Haley passed a lot of people too. Yeah. He started in the back too. But like Eric said, even the Open kind of sucked because whoever started on the front row, once they got that jump into one, it was kind of lights out. Like
once Ricky took the lead in the first stage, it was gone. No one could touch him.
So Whitey, I have a little. I got something behind my ear here. It's a tinfoil hat. It's a tinfoil hat behind the ear here. I think with the shortage and the cars, like Matt brought up earlier, it's an exhibition race. Why are we totaling cars when we don't have enough backups to begin with?
Yeah.
That had to have been in the back of these teams and these drivers' heads. I don't care if these drivers, they're going to tell you, no, it wasn't. The crew's going to tell you, no, it wasn't. I think my tinfoil hat is it definitely was. When William Byron and Chase Elliott are sharing like one backup car and Hendrick, like it's got to be on their minds to say, hey, This is,
We have
not
no
a
shot at winning. Why beat ourselves up at
exactly.
I'll tell you who wasn't thinking about that was Tyler Reddick and Randall Burnett. I don't know if you heard on the radio that little clip.
Tyler Reddick has been fast all year.
Oh,
Some could have made the argument that if he made the All Star race, he had a legit shot at winning it. That's not out of the stretch of imagination. Where I know we beat up on him, but it's just the first name I think of. Cody Ware. Why would he even try to beat up on other cars on his own car when he knows damn well, even if he got into the All-Star race, he's not winning.
No, I agree. I just thought it was funny on the radio. They were actively talking about it. He's like, I tried wrecking people before. Like, it doesn't work in these cars. Like, I'm giving it my all here. I thought that was pretty entertaining. But no, you're right. Even you look at Ty Dillon at the Clash. He was ready to wreck anybody. He didn't even bump any bumpers on Sunday during the All-Star race. So I was kind of disappointed. We all thought Ty Dillon was going to drive real aggressive. We thought Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was going to drive real aggressive. Thought Ross Chastain was going to drive real aggressive. And really didn't happen. I was
actively looking for that aggression in the open because, like I said, that's usually where it comes and the excitement usually starts there. And then, if the Cup guys see the open guys battling like that, if you got a little bit of ego, you don't want to get outshined by the open guys either, so you want to put on a show. And it just, I don't know. I think there was a shortage of heart in mind.
The table for a good night. Yeah.
All right. That's all I have from Checkers and Wreckers. Don't really have a whole lot of race notes. Eric, you said you had a little different perspective watching it with people though, where you guys kind of got into at certain points and stuff.
Yeah. I was telling Matthew a little bit, when the Kyle Busch Chastain wreck happened, it lit a little energy into, the garage. I was like, oh my God, got us talking and, what's going to happen because whose tire was going to blow next? Kyle Busch was in the lead. He was dominating, know, and, it was just a rowdy show at that point in time. And then that it happened in weeks earlier where in my head, at least it triggered, okay, this is the start. This is where it's going to get good because tire's going to come into play. Who's going to try to risk it here? And there were sparks of it, but I just think the energy of people and the environment, it gave me the sense of I was at the race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you go to a race, that feeling of being there and just enjoying yourself. And I think that's why Marcus Smith said, the people that were there enjoyed themselves. Yes, they saw a concert. They saw racing. Yeah. They were with their friends having a good time drinking. I did the same exact thing, except for I was in my garage. And did I have a great time on Sunday? I had a blast on Sunday watching the race with those people over. I'm sure they will all agree. But at the same time, if you say, was the race great? No.
Yeah.
But it did make my consumption of it way better than if I was watching it like I normally do by myself in my upstairs. It's like, okay, I'm sitting on my couch watching it. I probably would have ripped it even harder than I ripped it, but it was kind of entertaining because there were wrecks and people that were over watching it. I did have people that weren't big NASCAR fans. So Whitey, you said it earlier. I was a little nervous about man, are they going to be what am I investing myself into, because I'm actively trying to get more and more people involved in this sport. And it did run through my head a little bit because you talked about our buddy Colin. He's a Truex Jr. fan and his girlfriend just picked a NASCAR driver and she picked Tyler Reddick.
Yeah.
And,
smart woman right there. Smart woman.
When Reddick, when he smacked the wall and he wrecked and he went out, she checked out, okay, that's it. She was pissed. Oh, I'm done.
Yeah. So did I.
Yeah. But it's that it was kind of bad. I'm damn. I'm trying to explain, hey, that happens. It's, that's part of it, but I just think anytime you're with a group of people and you have an environment of I'm at the racetrack, I'm tailgating it.
Yeah.
It just a little bit. I enjoyed just the day. So my whole thing wasn't this sucked. It was it sucked, but I had a killer time. It
was a good background race. We've brought this up in the past. We did it last year for the Coke 600.
I
You have a
disagree.
party-
I think it was even an awful
It was
background.
it was a bad background race. At least the Coke 600 had some interesting things with, the engine failures with Chip Ganassi last year and everything. We had but at the same time, it's all about the environment. You have it on in the background and you're doing other stuff. It's one of those things you really didn't have to pay attention to last night to see like, oh yeah, that one kind of sucked, But yeah, I get it. How about you, Matt? You have anything else to add to the race weekend?
No, like I said, I'm not proud to admit it, but it's the first time I ever shut a race off. And I woke up this morning to find out everything that happened at the end of the race and everything. And yeah, just upsetting. I know we're going to talk about it in the pick lane coming up here in a minute here on maybe some ways to fix the All-Star race, but they need to think of something. And like I said, I know we'll talk about it. So.
Yeah, usually during this part, we talk about like, oh, this guy was having a good run. He just kind of screwed up on pit road. Oh, this guy passed a lot of cars. He just had a top 10 car. Yesterday, I couldn't even tell you.
It was an empty race.
You want to know what? I'll give you one thing. Austin Cindric looked really good yesterday. Came in, what was it, second, third?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, came in third.
His performance was good. Oh, dude, no, I hated that paint scheme so much. I thought the green and the blue together was awful.
Oh, the
I'm
Keystone
just talking
Light?
about Keystone Light.
Yeah.
I just
Okay,
did it behind the Keystone Light.
Yeah.
I didn't know what color it was. Was it gray? Was it olive green? Was it
It was
blue?
like olive green.
So for any new listeners, the three of us are huge paint scheme guys. We love our paint schemes and we take it seriously.
Yeah.
And go back and look at the scheme that Austin Cindric ran last night. It didn't mesh. It was a weird color green with a weird color blue that didn't mesh. And it was that was an eyesore.
Yeah, I thought he had a really good run. Team Penske altogether had great runs. And Daniel Suarez got himself in through the open and got a top 5. So great to see Trackhouse still finish well, even though Ross Chastain wrecked out. And that's all I have left as the race notes. Of course, on every NASCAR podcast, they talk about the winner, Ryan Blaney. Here on the Bumper Run podcast, we like to talk about last place. We'll talk about last place in the main event. That was one Kyle Larson. He finished 24th after a tire failed and sent him into the wall, absolutely destroying the car. We could also complain about Fox on this one because it happened during a side-by-side commercial break. In fact, it happened during the first commercial. I
saw it before they went to commercial. I called it out. I was still watching this TV, and I'm watching, and I go, as soon as we're going to go to commercial, I'm like, whoa! I go, Larson into the wall. They go to commercial. Everyone's like, what? I go, dude, I'm telling you, Larson just smacked the wall really bad.
Destroyed his car,
and then when they came back, they're like, Larson into the wall. They showed him on pit road, and they're like, how did you miss? Get out of commercial and go back to the race.
It took so long. By the time they came back from commercial break, Larson was already in the pit stall and he was already out of the car.
Yeah.
Because when they came back from commercial, I was like, why is Larson out of the car right now?
Now,
I was like, is this some sort of like all-star thing where they're going to freeze the field and people get out? Or I didn't know like what I had missed until they showed the car and it was flattened.
Oh, see, I saw the car like cutting through the grass.
Yeah, it cut right up.
Because Eric, I don't know if you were watching on the app. Sometimes they don't do the side-by-side commercial and NASCAR thing, but I was watching on regular TV, and during that first commercial, I'm like, oh, they're gonna cut from this commercial and talk about the wreck. Surely they will. They're only one commercial in,
exact same thing,
and they never did. And that whole entire commercial break, you just watch them cut through the grass. The car is destroyed. The right front tires sideways sticking out, and I'm like, what are we doing, Fox? You need to get it together. We're getting better. We're getting it together too. But yeah, that was last place. You guys want to jump into the pickle lane? I only have one. We kind of addressed a little bit throughout. Choose cones out. I give you a topic. I don't know where we're going with this one, but it's what do we do about Texas and the All-Star race? Get rid of one or both? Would you rather see an All-Star race move somewhere else? Would you rather see the All-Star race kind of go away altogether? Has it run its course? It's been around for over 30 years, but do we need it? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would say I would say keep the All-Star race. You need an All-Star race. Every sport has one.
Yeah.
The NFL's isn't great, like everyone would shit on that year after year after year. The Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of people. They're not really trying. Everyone complains about it every year, but they still have it. And the NFL tried. It was in Hawaii. They tried moving it here. They tried moving it around too. But I just think the people know that it's not a serious game, so the audience doesn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
So if for something to change it, I think, okay, like Matt said, $1 million, not a lot of money in today's world. Either you jack that up big time and make it a spectacle for a lot of money and make it a decent amount where it's like, oh shit, like I got to watch this,
Yeah.
Or to get the audience to take it seriously, you have to make the All-Star race a serious event and get rid of the gimmick side of it and go more, hey, this, instead of a gimmick, we're going to incentivize it a little bit and put 5 playoff points on the line. Put something else on the line so the drivers take it serious. And knowing the drivers are going to take it serious, I think the audience and us fans will take it a little bit more serious.
Makes sense to me. How about you, Matt? What are you thinking?
So I'll piggyback off of that and say, if we have to keep the All-Star race,
Yeah.
then let's bring it back. I told you I'd circle back to what we were talking about at the top of the show with bringing more light to the Xfinity and Truck Series. So it's, I believe, 12 cars in the Xfinity Series make the playoffs.
Yes.
10 cars in the Truck Series make the playoffs.
Yes.
And then it's 16 cars in the Cup Series make the playoffs. So
I think I know where you're going.
At the time of the All-Star race, whoever is in the playoffs at that point, they go to the All-Star race. No more open, no more anything. In all 3 series, that makes 38 cars. That gives you a full field, cars and trucks.
Yeah.
And just like you see at the Rolex 24, you have
Yes.
different classes of cars all running on the track at the same time.
Yeah.
You throw the Cup Series, you throw the Xfinity Series, and you throw the Truck Series, playoff contenders, all out there at the same time, and you do whatever kind of format you want to do to make it fair. I don't know, but put them all out there. Put all 3 series on showcase for the world to watch. And I think it would be a lot of fun. You never know if Noah Gragson can keep up with a Kyle Busch
In a cup car. That would be awesome.
Yeah, right?
Oh, my God.
Wouldn't it be cool. Put it on a track where it kind of evens the playing level a little bit. Put it on a road course. Put it on a short track. Put it on Bristol.
Bring it back to Charlotte. Put it on the Roval. Put it on a Saturday night before the Coke 600, the week before. Like it should be like it was. Put all series on there and give them all the same horsepower. That way the engines are at least matched up. The aerodynamics is going to be different.
The speeds, there can't be a great speed, top speed difference. They have, if that was all figured out as far as an engine package goes, that would be interesting.
Some of the smartest people in the world in motorsports working for NASCAR on the competition side. They can figure something out to make that a legitimate thing. So that's what my option is, as far as that's what I would like to see if we're keeping the All-Star race.
Yeah.
I personally, like I said before, do not like the All-Star race. I never have. I've just tolerated it because I love racing and I'm going to watch it anyway. Get rid of the All-Star race altogether and use this week as a kind of a speed weeks leading up to the Coke 600. Let's showcase the Coke 600 a little bit more than we already do, because again, it's probably our second biggest crown jewel behind the Daytona 500. Let's have a speed weeks. Let's build up to it, just like they do for the Indy 500 on the IndyCar side. All week long, they've been building up to the Indy 500,
the practices and stuff.
Indy 500 going into the Sunday race. So do the same thing for the longest race of our season. It gives these guys in the industry another week at home. It gives them back-to-back weekends at home, seeing as though NASCAR did take one of their off weekends away this year. So I think it's fair to them. I think the industry would like it. And like I said, it would just build up one of our biggest crown jewels a little bit better.
What if they did this? What if, like, because we know as of right now, halfway point of the season, what the best race was leading up to it. We know what race put on a hell of a show. How about you don't know what that's going to be till, like, you kind of go to what track put on the best race, and you go back there.
Fan vote.
Yeah, you kind of, okay, in these first 12 races, where do you want to go? And if you keep, after every week, someone's just going to be at the top, at least in the top 3. It's going to be running away. This race was awesome. Yeah. Let's bring them back here and run it again and do it where you know it's going to be good racing, because we've seen it.
To piggyback off that,
I feel like that's going to be too hard logistically, though. You know,
yeah, like, logistically, it's hard to not know where you're going.
I mean, you start selling tickets for events almost a year ahead of time. You know,
tickets doesn't matter. It's all TV anyway. It's a TV spectacle.
But that's the problem. You want people in the stands. Tickets should matter.
I don't know anymore, because do you want people in the stands or do you want people to watch on TV? Because it seems like TV is the bigger deal right now.
Make the ad track experience great again.
Specifically Marcus, I know Marcus Smith isn't with NASCAR, he's with SMI, but if I'm Marcus Smith, I leave it up to the fans. Hey, you guys don't like where we're racing? Here's 5 tracks or 6 tracks. Put it in a fan vote. You guys decide where we're going for next year. Yeah. And then it's decided a year in advance, but it's up to the fans. So that way, if it's a dud, we can't all go to Twitter and social media the next day and say, oh, let's burn down Texas Motor Speedway or whatever. You know, let's do this, let's do that. Because it would be on us, because we're the ones who picked the race.
Go ahead, Whitey. My bad.
I'm cool with all these ideas. Just simplify the format a little bit, where I don't read it and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Because you know what? That was the first indication for me that this weekend was not going to be good. When a month ago they released it, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know what they're talking about. And,
yeah, but last year they did that, and it was an unbelievable race.
So just stick with that. Why change it? Exactly. Why did they change it?
That format.
Yeah, I think the format doesn't matter much as the track. I think the track matters more than the format. I think if you got a good track where you have good racing, no matter what format you slap on it beforehand, you're going to get a good all-star race because of the racing that's going to happen. Yeah. The format, you could change that all you want, but if you keep going back to the same shitty racetrack with a different format, you're like, they've tried that already. It's not happening. So the format, I think, doesn't really matter as much as where they're trying to race the format. I think that's a bigger indication. But for me, when I knew it really wasn't going to work was when they interviewed, I think it was like Denny Hamlin and it might have been Larson, where they're like, oh, what do you think about the format? And they had no idea. They didn't even look at it. They go, oh, I'm going to find out when I get to the racetrack. And I'm like, they don't even care about the all-star race. The drivers don't even look at the formats till the day of the race. And like, oh, what am I doing? They just wait for their crew chief to tell them what to do in their ear. Yeah. They're not even excited about it or know what's going on. So like, if the drivers aren't following along with the format, how are the fans supposed to get behind it and know what's going on? So maybe do something where, Matt, like you said, you have a fan vote, but you also have a driver vote as well. And you have the drivers vote at where they want to go and hold the all-star race. And maybe you have the drivers versus the fans. Where do you want to go? And make some kind of TV gimmick out of that, getting the fans involved in some kind of direct, going back and forth with some of the drivers. Make like a hashtag or something that the drivers could get some of their personality out, and maybe show some more of the drivers' personality to go along with the all-star weekend too. Not just the racing, maybe get the drivers out there.
Yeah, I mean, it all sounds good to me. I want to know what you guys at home are thinking. If you're listening on the podcast, hit us up at Bump the Letter N Run Pod on Twitter and Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you would do to try to improve the All-Star race. Or would you get rid of the All-Star race altogether? We want to know. But, Matt, you said you had an idea for another pick lane. What was that one? It was earlier on in the show. I told you to write it down. Did you write it down?
No. Oh, no. I think no, I don't know. That thought has come and gone, my friend.
Okay, that's why I told you to write it down. Okay, Because I remember you're like, oh, we'll circle back on this during the pickle
Oh,
lane.
that was okay.
That
Yeah,
was
so
earlier.
It was
but
the
then
Trucks and Xfinity Series.
But then you came up with an idea. Oh, you came up with that during. Okay, whatever. All right. Well, then let's move ahead. We're moving on. We got a crown jewel to talk about. Next week we are heading to Charlotte. Trucks on Track Friday night 8:30 on FS1 for the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Xfinity on track Saturday 1 p.m. on FS1 for the Alsco Uniform 300. And then Cup on track Sunday night under the lights 6 p.m. on Fox for the Coca-Cola 600. I can't believe that next weekend is already Memorial Day weekend. I feel like the winter drug on, and now all of a sudden the spring is just flying by and we're already unofficially in summer next weekend for the Coke 600. I'm looking forward to it. We got some betting to do. Last week we did some fun picks for the All Star race where, of course, fantasy didn't count any numbers. So we were just doing 5 extra bonus points for the person who came in closest to the finish. And Eric Daytona Ron picked the winner on the nose.
Yeah.
One Ryan Blaney. He scored you an extra 5 bonus points in the point standings. Currently in the point standings, Matt is leading at 419 points. Eric, Matt's also picked 1 winner so far this season. He picked Denny to win Richmond. Eric so far has picked 2 winners now. He picked Chase to win at Dover, and he picked Ryan Blaney in the All-Star race. He's sitting at 409 points, so only 10 points behind Matt, the stat man, Reilly. And then I am lonely in the back, 357 points. I got a deep hole to dig out of.
That was me last year. Do you remember? I think I finished like 200 points behind you guys.
Yeah, I had a DNF for Daytona. I picked Byron. He got me 1 point, and then MTJ got me 2 points in Phoenix. Really put me behind the wall, or behind the 8 ball there. And then Kyle Busch only got me 11 points in Darlington. So really struggling when it comes to the picks. But Matt, do you have the betting lines for the Coke 600?
I sure do not. Give me 1 second.
I tell you what, we apologize to the listener at home. If you're listening, thank you for being a trooper. After this weekend, we just had really no motivation after what we saw on track. I'm hoping you have the motivation to listen to us talk about it. So the show prep this week was not as in-depth as it usually is. I figured we would just kind of jump on here and wing it. So that's what we're doing when it comes to the picks. And of course, every Saturday for points paying races, Matt does do a betting preview show on YouTube exclusively every Saturday morning, usually around noon, comes out after practice or so.
This Saturday, but it being the holiday weekend, I cannot guarantee a time on that. I will try to release it when it gets released, but
Yeah.
we'll try to get it out in plenty of time before the race on Sunday night.
And again, we always tweet it out, put it on our social media, and if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe, hit that bell. That way you get a notification as soon as the videos go live.
So I do have the race lines brought to you by DraftKings. Now these race lines are subject to change, and they will change. Obviously, qualifying and practice have not happened yet. Like usual, I'm going to give you the top 10 as far as odds to win the Coca-Cola 600. 9 and 10. Okay, so tied at plus 1,400, you've got 3 guys: Alex Bowman, Ross Chastain, and Tyler Reddick. All 3 guys who have been, who have either won a race or knocked on the door with Tyler Reddick this year. All guys who I think are capable of winning the Coke 600. I would jump on those odds early if you can, if you feel like they're going to win the race. And then the next best odds is a 3-way tie again with Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, and William Byron, all at plus 1,200. Just to give you guys a little hint, my winner for the race, who I think is truly going to win this race, comes from within one of those 3.
Bless you.
Bless me.
Bless your heart.
The next favorite here is Martin Truex Jr. at plus 1,000. If you remember a couple of years ago, I think he led like 96% of the laps.
Yeah, it was like almost every single lap.
All the laps he led and won that race in true dominating fashion. Then Chase Elliott at a plus 600. And then you have two guys who are tied. Our buddy Jay will be happy to hear this. They are the co-favorites, the Kyle and Kyle show, both at plus 550 to win this race on Sunday night.
All right, and since last week, we just had some funsies with the betting, and both of our guys got taken out in the same wreck. I picked Ross Chastain to win. Matt chose Chase Elliott. So I think right now on the podcast, we have to do a quick rock, paper, scissors to see who chooses first.
Wow. All right.
Coming down.
No, Eric, you're good.
Eric, you're last because you won. You automatically finished last.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I picked Blaney. Okay. I didn't know
you
we were
won.
going off of that last week. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So now it's just me and Matt for that second and third position. All right.
Hold on, Whitey. Hold on, because somebody on the score sheet. No, you know what? Screw it. I won't take the fun away from the listeners. Rock, paper, scissors right now.
All right.
Just one, right?
Yeah, just one.
Okay, ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Yeah. Oh, I threw paper. He threw scissors. Damn.
The stat man wins, baby.
All right. Who you picking for the crown jewel, the longest race of the season, the Coke 600?
So I just teased who I'm gonna pick. I knew all day that this guy is who I wanted to pick. Last year, if you remember, Hendrick Motorsports absolutely dominated. Kyle Larson dominated the Coke 600, but all of those guys led laps. They were all finishing in the top 10. I think this guy, he's got 2 wins this year. He's got 2 clocks this year.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Slick Willie 2 clocks.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling is going to have a hell of a Coca-Cola 600, and he is going to win.
All right, I like it. Mark you down for old Slick Willie 2 clocks. We were hoping that he would win the All Star race in Texas and become Slick Willie 2 guns, but we'll have to see what happens. Maybe in the playoffs. In the fall, he'll get those two revolvers from Texas Motor Speedway. So you're thinking the Hendrick camp. For some reason, Toyota is calling my name. I don't know. I'm just feeling it. And he almost had a good finish this week. He almost won. He's been up and down all year, and I think he could use a little extra when it comes to the playoff standings. I'm going with the veteran, James Dennis Hamlin. He's sitting at a plus 1,200. Why the fuck not? I'll throw some money on him to win. I feel like it's going to be a veterans race when it comes to the Coke 600.
Coming from that plus 1,200 long shot area to win this race.
I have been absorbing all this information throughout the podcast, and I'm letting the signs tell me who I'm going to pick. Whitey was talking about him using that DeWalt drill and how he loves it. Okay. He's telling all of our subscribers, click that bell, sign up on YouTube. And I'm going with the young gun this week at Charlotte, the number 20 DeWalt car, Christopher Bell.
I love it. I love that you're searching for signs in the universe in the podcast, and you want to know what? I think it just might pay off. We are 13 races in. We have 11 different winners. Christopher Bell so far is not one of them. Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, and Kurt Busch are all locked into the playoffs. Can William Byron get his 3rd win of the season and just keep stacking those playoff points? Can James Dennis Hamlin get his 2nd win of the season at the year's longest race? Or can Christopher Bell steal a spot, get his 1st win on the season, and get a crown jewel just like that 20 car is used to when Eric Jones used to run in it? We will find out this Sunday night, 6 p.m. Memorial Day weekend on Fox. It's the Coca-Cola 600, and we'll break it all down for you Monday night right here on the Bump and Run podcast. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
The Bump and Run.
There it is.